Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Max Northcutt, and we've got Ray Seckler and a new man, Keith, on the board, and Philip, and we've got a very special guest this morning that David has invited, and he's a hero of mine from way back, and he's a kind of a local legend in music, and among other things, and
No, wait a minute. He ain't kind of a local legend. He is a local legend.
He's an icon around here. Yeah. Everybody knows Mr. Marvin Goss is with us this morning.
Well, thank you, Max. It's a pleasure to be here, and I appreciate David inviting me. And
we're going to cover a lot of ground, I think. We're going to talk about some things that I think a lot of people will enjoy hearing about again. One of the things that we're going to talk about is the Duck River Boys period. That Marvin was a member of the Duck River Boys, and they came in this very room. I think you said 5 days a week. Was that right? 5 days a week in the mornings. And we're going to talk about that and how they performed live. He said you said some of the time you pre-recorded, but most of the time you did it live.
That's true. Yeah.
Tell us about the other members of the Duck River Boys.
Well, there was Mr. Jug D. Ford. Frederick was his real name, but everybody knew him as Jug, and he was the bass player. And Mr. Howard Chapman. He played the lead guitar, and Carl Smith did the fiddle work, and Danny Hampton was the banjo player, and they let me tag along and sing some and play the flat top, which I am very grateful that they did, because we had lots of fun back in those days, and we were on for the Umbarger Miller Auction Company back in those days, and Mr. Miller, he was pretty flamboyant, you know. We would go to those sales sometimes on Saturday and play live for him, and he would wear those pink suits and chartreuse suits, and I'm sure you remember those days, Max. And he'd have that little hat cocked sideways on his head, and sometimes he would sing Corina, Corina.
Yeah, he liked Corina.
Oh, he did. But he was a show in himself. But the people liked him, and he was quite successful in the real estate business there.
He got started hanging out at the Umbarger Auction House, helping out with them.
Yes.
And then he gradually got to where he decided he wanted to be in the business for himself. And they made a good sponsor for you guys to.
Oh yes, they did.
How long did they sponsor you? You remember?
We was on the radio here for 14 years.
Golly.
Yeah.
And that's a new show. I mean, 5 days a week, that's a different show every day.
We kept real busy, that's for sure.
And I'm sure those...
And all of us were working full time at that time.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what time of morning were you on?
At 8 in the morning.
And then after you left here, you went to work? Wherever?
Yeah, we'd go to work, and then...
did you get permission from on those mornings to come in a little late?
I got a special work schedule. I had to work later in the afternoon, you know, and so I got my 8 hours in at my public job. I was working at the base at that time.
Now, Jug, what was Jug doing?
Jug was the assistant fire chief out at the center, Arnold Center, and he was a character that he was an authentic East Tennessean, and
he was a big baseball man too.
Oh, he was big in baseball, and he ended up being a professional scout for the Detroit Tigers, and then later went to the Los Angeles team.
Yeah,
and he loved baseball, and that was his second passion. He loved music, and he loved baseball.
Now, let's talk a little bit about Danny Hampton. Now, Danny was from, he was a West End. That Hampton family came down here from Dixon.
Yeah, he went back to Dixon. That's where he's living now. And he and I are the only surviving members of the Duck River Band.
Danny's having some health problems, I heard recently from his niece. But now Danny was a heck of a banjo player.
Oh yes, he still is. The last time I played with him was about 3 years ago. We met out at Edgar Usselton's house and had a little picking, and boy, he could still hammer that banjo.
Now, let's talk a little bit about Carl Smith.
Yeah,
Carl played the fiddle.
Yes, he was a very fine fiddle player. And unfortunately, he got killed in a tractor accident down in Moore County. But he was a fantastic fiddle player, and everybody loved Carl. He was just a prince of a guy, you know.
Yeah.
Well, didn't you say that he had actually bought a piece of ground down around Lynchburg and was clearing it off or something so y'all have a cabin built to go play music or something?
That's correct, David. He bought 14 acres of just woods down there, and it was kind of off the beaten path, and it was kind of hilly, you know. And he told me, he said, I'm going to build a cabin back there where we'll have a place to play and we won't disturb nobody. Well, bless his heart, he never seen that fulfilled, but he ended up being killed in an accident with his tractor down there.
Well, so who was running the station? Like of a morning when you guys were in here, who was at the control board?
At one time, the spokesman for the Metro Police was here. Don Aaron.
Yeah.
Don Aaron?
Don Aaron, yeah. He did a lot of shows for us in recording, and then later on, Russell Daniel did a lot of shows for us.
Well, back then, the control board was in the other room.
Yes.
Through that window that the audience can't see.
That's correct.
Now,
well, some can.
Now they've moved in here in what used to be called the production room or whatever. The live the shows like Marvin was part of, and I've talked a little bit about before about Sunday mornings about how the preachers and the various groups would come in here.
Yeah.
And it all took place right here where we're sitting.
Yeah, they had a lot of gospel groups come in back then.
Now let's talk about your David. You got ready to say something?
Well, I was just going to ask him. Did they already have mics and everything set up in here, or did you have to bring them too?
No, they had the radio station had their
had all the mics done.
Yeah, they did.
And you said though on your equipment now every day you would take it home with you.
Oh yeah, we hauled that equipment till we wore the legs off of it.
But now you Marvin, you said that they let you tag along. But now let's talk about your background and your knowledge of. You just started listening to country music and growing up or whatever, but now you gradually got to where you had a pretty good library of songs to pull off of on any given show where there was some requests, I'm sure, that people wanted to hear, and you could draw off a pretty large group of songs. And you just, I'm sure, accumulated over the years.
Yeah, I've got most of those songs committed just to memory. I never had a music stand or anything like that. A lot of my friends use music stands, even in the band I'm playing with now. They use music stands, but I never do. It's just something extra for me to have to carry around.
He's being modest.
I am amazed though. With the memory, I mean, hundreds of songs. I know it's not a few songs. I know it's got to be hundreds. Over how you can remember those words? How?
I don't really know how because
it's a spiritual thing between the ears.
Is that what it is?
Between the ears and them fingers.
Well, here's why I say that, because I asked Max, and nobody. I've asked a lot of people that nobody really could ever really answer. They just, I guess, once they started playing the song, automatically the words must jump in your mind.
Well, I remember one time Chet Atkins was on Joey Bishop's show in New York, and Joey asked him about the Nashville sound. He said, "What is the Nashville sound?" And people that knew Chet, they knew how dry he was, and I'm sure Ray remembers that. And he said, I don't know how to explain it, but he said, I've got a little book that I carry, and he said, I've got these names wrote down around Nashville area, these musicians and what they play. And he said, a new artist can come into RCA, say, let's say Perry Como comes in, and he's got a new song. And he says, I'd like to cut this song this afternoon. And he said, well, what kind of instruments do you want? And he said, 2 violins, and he said, we call them fiddles, around here. And he said, I'll call these guys up after Perry tells me all the instruments he wants, and he said, they'll come in and get a Coke or a cup of coffee, and Perry will pass out the music sheets, and they'll look at it to be polite, and then they'll lay it over on the amplifier out of the way, and they'll tell Perry to hum a bar of his new song. And he said about the second time, they'll join in and play along with him. And he said the third time, they'll say, well, we're ready to cut. He said, you mean to tell me those musicians don't know music? And Chet said, well, some of them know a little, but not enough to hurt their playing.
Good.
We got to go.
We got to take a break.
Keith says we got to go for a break. We'll be right back.
The Jiffy Burger on the Hillsborough Boulevard in Manchester has been voted as having the best hamburgers in Manchester. Hometown atmosphere, historical memorabilia, and of course those great burgers, salads, chicken, and so much more. It's the Jiffy Burger on the Hillsborough Boulevard in Manchester. Call in orders at 728-4452. You can also order at the convenient outdoor curb service. Hamburgers are made the old-fashioned way at the Jiffy Burger, Manchester's finest hamburgers. Open 7:30 until 9, Monday through Saturday.
We would like to thank Dr. David Florence for supporting Let's Talk Antiques. See Dr. Florence at 804 Kalon Street in Manchester for all of your medical needs. Call 728-5522 for your appointment today. Most insurances accepted.
Shelton Lane Antiques in Manchester has over 5,000 square feet of antiques for treasure hunters to explore. They sell vintage clocks, gas pumps, signs, furniture, and glassware. They have over 3,000 vinyl records and a fully stocked 1950-style general store. Owners Harold and Ruby Shelton have been collecting unique items for years, and you can start or complete your own collection today at Shelton Lane Antiques. Open Wednesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 100 Shelton Lane, just off 16th Model Road in Manchester, Tennessee. Come look around and plan to stay a while at Shelton Lane Antiques, where we sell antiques, but the history is free.
We are Goody Two Scoops.
I love Goody Two Scoops.
A family-friendly, yummy dessert specialty shop in Tullahoma, Tennessee. We excel in self-serve frozen treats and our own incredibly tasty chef-baked creations. For frozen treat lovers, we offer frozen yogurt, ice cream custard, as well as gelato and Italian ice. 85 flavors that rotate each day. 55 toppings including fresh sliced fruit. For our baked good lovers, Goody Two Scoops offers a variety of fresh pastries at a hometown price. Our 2 certified culinary chefs design and create incredible cakes. We showcase our cakes, froyo cakes, cupcakes, cookies, pies, and chocolate-covered strawberries, offered fresh daily.
I love playing.
Goody Two Scoops.
All right, good morning. We're back. Our special guest this morning is Marvin Goss, and tickled to have him here. We've been talking about the music here with the Duck River Boys back when they used to come in this room and play live 5 days a week. And I wanted to ask Marvin about some of his heroes as far as the people that he really liked to listen to. And you mentioned Tom T. Hall.
Yeah. And Merle Haggard. And
Haggard had a lot of good songs.
He did, and George Jones, and I like George Strait and Alan Jackson. I like some of the things they do.
We have a phone call right now.
All right, let him get his harnessed up here. All right, we're ready.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, caller.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, caller. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Did we lose him?
Well, you can try him back.
Yes, have a call back again and see if we
may
can't get
have
you
lost
connected.
you. May have lost you on the
Did you say go ahead or go ahead? I was wondering which one. That might have been why they hung up.
David. Well, anyway, you got George Jones and old Hank Cochran wrote a lot of good songs.
Oh yes, he did. He was a fine writer.
And what's the old? Gosh, let me think. Harlan
Howard.
Harlan Howard.
Yeah, he
wrote
great.
a bunch, didn't he?
He was great.
Bill Anderson.
Bill Anderson.
Is that Harlan Howard? Is that Jan Howard's husband?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It is.
It is.
Dallas Frazier.
Dallas Frazier. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's somebody trying to.
Go ahead.
Good morning, caller. Go ahead.
Can you listen to Thunder Radio on Charter TV?
I don't
Not right
know.
now, but this will be replayed tonight at 6.
Oh, okay.
Or also on YouTube too.
Yes, on YouTube.
You can see it on YouTube also.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Was that your buddy, Marvin?
No, I don't
know
so.
who that was.
I don't know. He didn't give a name.
But anyway, you started out just basically listening to the people that you like to listen and learn the lyrics and the melody.
Yes, and when I was very young, one of my heroes was Hank Snow. I loved a lot of his stuff he did.
The Ranger, the old Ranger.
Yeah.
I've been everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Try that sometime.
and moving on.
That's a tongue twister, Ray. I tell you.
That's a tongue twister.
And I'm sure you sang it though, Marvin.
Yeah, I made an attempt to.
Could you do the Auctioneer? That was
No,
Leroy Van Dyke wrote that.
I couldn't do that.
It's tough. It was
tough.
a tough song.
Yeah. But he was good at it.
Leroy Van Dyke.
Yeah, he was good at it.
Just walk on by and wait on the
Wait on the
corner.
Now, I bet you could do that one.
Another person that I liked was let me think now. I lost my train of thought there. Well, we'll go back to that after a while.
What about old Bobby Bear and Dale Reeves?
And Bobby Bear. Yeah, he was good.
You know, I noticed something.
Dale Reeves.
Dale Reeves.
He had the billboard sign.
Do.
Yeah.
Did you ever do any Charlie Louvin? The Louvin brothers? Did y'all
no.
ever do any of their music?
No, I haven't, but I got to meet Charlie up on the mountain when we were doing those live shows up at Mont Eagle.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I got to meet Charlie up there.
Yeah, he's a fine man.
Yeah.
Did you ever meet the Wilburn brothers?
No.
You know, they had a TV show in Nashville that was pretty popular.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and my friend Dick Flood, he wrote their theme song.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, he wrote. Well, I can't think of the theme song now.
Well, now Dick Flood. Now, where did you say that he played? Was that in the military?
Yeah,
he played with you.
He was on the Armed Forces radio and television show with me in the Philippine Islands in 1955.
Now we're gonna get into that. I think the second half and talk quite a bit about that show and that period, and about the people in your band and so forth. These other, besides playing in the Duck River Boys and being on the radio here, where all else did y'all play?
Well, I was in a band, and when I came back stateside from the Philippines, I got involved in a band in Valdosta, Georgia. We called the Lowndes County Playboys. And that was the name of the local county there, Lowndes County.
Well, what about the Playboy side of it?
Well,
y'all weren't really Playboys.
No,
was it?
we weren't
Okay.
Playboys. We just, we was talking about playing the instruments.
Oh, okay.
not playing the field.
Oh, okay.
Valdosta, Georgia.
Valdosta, Georgia, yeah.
Where did y'all play?
We played the local clubs and things around there, and we did a few shows. We shared a night with Bill Monroe at Live Oak, Florida one time.
Oh, wow.
And Bill was drinking moonshine out of a mason jar.
Yeah.
He drank out of a mason jar, and that just amazed me. he said, that's got to loosen my throat up, you know.
Well, did it get too loose, or did it stay about right?
No, he did all right. But he said, I've got to hit them high notes, and he said, I got to have my throat clear. He was
well, like Marvin, could he do the whole show with a quart, or did it a little less?
Oh yeah, he didn't use the whole quart up.
Okay.
You know, he still had some left
All
at
right.
the end of the show.
You know,
Where it came from, probably.
Yeah.
one of my favorite recent stories from Ray Seckler was he went to school with James Monroe up there in was it Goodlettsville? And so him and James are about the same age. You said he might be a little bit older than
I
you.
can't remember now.
But they both got kicked out of the class and had to go see the principal.
Oh me.
And but anyway, growing up, he grew up, went to school with James. You know, and old James wrote a good song. I haven't seen Mary in years. You ever hear that?
Yeah, I remember hearing that.
That's a good set, one of those old sad songs. But anyway, then when you came here, and you were part of the Duck River Boys, what other personal appearances did you go up, show up for auctions and that kind of thing?
Yeah, we did a lot of the Saturday auctions for Miller and Umbarger. You know, when they would sell a farm, they wanted us to come out and play music. You know, for.
And then Shorty and them would have silver dollars to.
Oh yeah, he'd give those silver dollars away. You know, he always went to the bank and got 20 or 25 silver dollars every morning on Saturday, and then he would pass them out to the crowd. You know, during the auction.
Well, how long would y'all play, Marvin?
Oh, we would play usually about 20 or 25 minutes, you know, at an auction. And Shorty would sell some of the personal items, and then he'd have us play, and then he'd go into the real estate thing. You know, he had a system worked out. You know. But he was quite successful there for many years, you know.
Well, did y'all wear 10-gallon hats or anything?
No, we all had the little bolo string ties, and we wore those when we had a special appearance to go to, you know.
Now, didn't y'all play a lot of benefits too?
Oh yes, we did a lot of charity work. Yeah. Yeah.
I know that you're well known for that kind of stuff.
In later years, when I was playing with the Keel band here in Manchester, this was post Duck River Boys Day. We did several years of entertaining the veterans in the hospital over at the Alvin C. York thing.
Max, you need to let him talk a little bit about that.
That was tell us about that. Was Leighton and High C and who all? Bart.
David, you know.
David played the steel.
David played the steel, and Uncle Bart played the banjo, you know.
So,
And sometimes Stanley and Joe would sit in with us, you know, and that was High C's boys.
So did you go down to the Alvin C. York Hospital like on Sundays or Saturdays, or when did you go down usually?
We usually go on a Wednesday, and back then the American Legion here in Manchester sponsored us, and they had an old bus, an old school bus that they'd painted red, white, and blue, and.
Imagine that.
Yeah, and Bob Rust would drive the old bus, you know.
Yeah.
And they'd haul us down to the hospital, and then we'd all pile back in that old bus and come back home.
How long would you stay down at the hospital?
Oh, we usually did about an hour and 20 minutes.
So I bet those veterans really appreciated it.
Oh, yeah. And some of the veterans down there, you know, had mental issues, and I've seen some comical things out of them.
Well, I'll tell you what, Marvin, let's take a little break, and maybe you can tell us a few more stories about the veteran hospital and the music.
The Jiffy Burger on the Hillsborough Boulevard in Manchester has been voted as having the best hamburgers in Manchester. Hometown atmosphere, historical memorabilia, and of course those great burgers, salads, chicken, and so much more. It's the Jiffy Burger on the Hillsborough Boulevard in Manchester. Call in orders at 728-4452. You can also order at the convenient outdoor curb service. Hamburgers are made the old-fashioned way at the Jiffy Burger, Manchester's finest hamburgers. Open 7:30 until 9, Monday through Saturday.
We would like to thank Dr. David Florence for supporting Let's Talk Antiques. See Dr. Florence at 804 Kalon Street in Manchester for all of your medical needs. Call 728-5522 for your appointment today. Most insurances accepted.
Shelton Lane Antiques in Manchester has over 5,000 square feet of antiques for treasure hunters to explore. They sell vintage clocks, gas pumps, signs, furniture, and glassware. They have over 3,000 vinyl records and a fully stocked 1950s-style general store. Owners Harold and Ruby Shelton have been collecting unique items for years, and you can start or complete your own collection today at Shelton Lane Antiques. Open Wednesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 100 Shelton Lane, just off 16th Model Road in Manchester, Tennessee. Come look around and plan to stay a while at Shelton Lane Antiques, where we sell antiques, but the history is free.
We are Goody Two Scoops.
I love Goody Two Scoops.
A family-friendly, yummy dessert specialty shop in Tullahoma, Tennessee. We excel in self-serve frozen treats and our own incredibly tasty chef-baked creations. For frozen treat lovers, we offer frozen yogurt, ice cream custard, as well as gelato and Italian ice. 85 flavors that rotate each day. 55 toppings including fresh sliced fruit. For our baked good lovers, Goody Two Scoops offers a variety of fresh pastries at a hometown price. Our 2 certified culinary chefs design and create incredible cakes. We showcase our cakes, froyo cakes, cupcakes, cookies, pies, and chocolate-covered strawberries, offered fresh daily.
I love fighting.
Goody Two Scoops.
Yeah, our guest today is really special guest is Marvin Goss, and we're talking about the days when Marvin covered the ground around here a little bit with the Duck River Boys and the Keels, and I thought that was interesting. And the Keels used to they said the American Legion sponsored you. Mm-hmm. And you had an old bus that was red, white, and blue.
Yeah, old school bus.
Old school bus. And Bob Rust would drive the bus, and you'd take you down to the Alvin C. York, the VA hospital in Murfreesboro, and you would entertain the veterans.
We did that for years, and sometimes Joyce and Joe McCullough would go with us, and Joyce and I sang together back then a lot, and I was honored to be at her 80th birthday back a couple of weeks ago.
Not too long ago, just a few days ago.
Out at the church there in Forest Mill.
Yeah.
And we had a wonderful time out there and a lot of good music.
Well, I got to play with Joe quite a bit. I was in a group with Joe. And Joe'd rather pick than eat or breathe. You know,
yeah.
Joe wanted to play all the time.
Oh yes.
But anyway, the Keels were another family of very talented people.
Very much so, yeah.
Layton was actually, and Heisey was, somebody told me not long ago that Heisey played guitar before he took up the fiddle. Is that right?
I think so, yeah.
I've heard him play both. He's good.
Yeah.
And David, I got to play with David a little bit on that. He played that steel. Man, he was good.
He really got good on that steel guitar, and it seemed like he learned so easy. You know, It seemed like it was no effort for him to learn.
Yeah, I never could. You know, it just comes natural to some people.
Yeah.
And but almost all of them are gone now in the family, except for Joe and
Stanley.
And Stanley.
Yeah. Yeah, David, he's gone. He died at a very young age. And
yeah. We want to get off on this your military time. You were in the Air Force, and tell us about the contest. You were on. Were you on the Philippines on Clark Air Force Base?
Clark Air Force Base in the Philippines.
And there were how many bands on that base? How many country bands?
There were 9 country bands there, and they rotated playing the clubs, you know, like the NCO club and Officers Club. And and they do clubs in the little town around there, and so the Armed Forces Network decided they would put on a radio show and a TV show. So they said, well, we don't know how to pick a band except we're going to have a contest and let the winner get the TV show. So it turned out that my band won the contest, and we got the show, and we had that show for 10 months, and we had a lady singer from Idaho, and Dick Flood was on that show, and steel player was Dick Sudlow from Hanover, Indiana, and he was a good steel player. And we had a guy named Dave Triplett that played fiddle, and he had played with the York Brothers, but long before he had come into the military. So he had some professional experience, you know, and we had a pretty good little group put together there, and we called ourselves the Luzon Valley Boys. And that was the name of the province where the Clark Air Force Base was located.
Luzon was the island there. The island there.
Yeah.
Now you said that the band from Florida, headed up by the guy you called Gator.
Yeah.
You thought they were going to get it, but you had a good combination. You had the girl singer, the backup, the harmony singing.
We did.
You had the good steel guitar player and fiddle. And so you just beat them.
Yeah, we were fortunate. We ended up with the TV show, and it was a pleasure to do that show. But it was a lot of hard work and kept us jumping. But
I tell
we
you,
enjoyed it.
Would there be any tapes of it anywhere?
I don't know. I don't have any tapes of it, but I'm sure they made some.
That'd be something to treat. Keith mentioned a little while ago, if we just had something that
we'd have to have an antique machine to play them on.
Oh, you mean like an antique tape recorder type thing? Yeah.
It's amazing what they can do with that stuff.
Oh yes, that's right, Ray. They can do that. I had an uncle that converted some tapes, photographic tapes for me, and I never thought he could do that, but he got them to where I could play them on the TV, you know.
Yeah, the Country Music Hall of Fame done old Flat and Scruggs TV shows like that. It was they're unbelievable what they've done.
Yeah, and your father was with Flat and Scruggs, right?
Yes, sir.
I remember that. Yeah, he was a fantastic musician, I'll tell you.
The tenor singing where he really reached his heights.
Well, on that subject, Marvin, his daddy not too long ago gave him his guitar, and he went to an assisted living home, and kind of got just told Ray, he said he didn't want it anymore, wasn't going to use it anymore. It's a Martin D35 Martin.
Yeah.
And
Philip was wanting the guitar.
Well,
I got a son that hurt me.
Yeah. That guitar's not going nowhere. Or some of his suits too, Max.
Yeah.
Suits. All kinds of. They have a yard sale out of some of them suits.
So let's talk about briefly. A few years ago, y'all had your band from the Air Force show had a reunion, and they came here to your house.
Yes, a lot of the members came here for one of my anniversaries. I think it was my 46th anniversary. And the girl singer came. I tried for years to get in contact with her, and finally did, and she was living in Scottsdale, Arizona. And the steel guitar man came from Indiana, and so we had a good little reunion there at my house, and Tom Brantley came and played the fiddle for us, and Jug D. Ford played the bass, so we had a little band going there for...
Did you record it, Marvin?
No, we didn't. And I don't know why anybody didn't think about doing that, but we didn't, and...
You're almost like the Haleys. The Haleys been playing music around for what, 50 years?
Oh,
and
yes.
They've never hardly got anything on recorded that they've done.
You know, I'd like to have one of their recordings when the Womack man played fiddle for him from Woodbury.
Yes. Yeah, Billy.
Billy Womack.
Yeah, Billy was.
Oh, he was a fantastic fiddler.
We played with Billy a lot, and I've got some pictures of us playing somewhere on a tractor trailer on a trailer bed, and I have no idea where it was, but Billy was playing with us, and we used to go down to his house in Woodbury and play with him, and along people like Marty Stewart and John Hartford used to go down to his just to play with Billy.
That's amazing. He was a fine musician.
Did y'all ever play at the what's the thing they always had in October, Old Timers Day? Did you ever get to play up there any? Did y'all?
Yes.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yes,
These
I
guys
did.
were a mainstay at Old Timers Day.
I did the first 16 square dances up there on Saturday night.
Well, it back then though it went like 2 days, didn't it? Like Friday and Saturday night.
It did.
They need to bring that back.
Well, they've got it back, but it's yeah, they got it back, but you're not playing now up there, are you?
No, Fred Venatti would do the calling on the square dance, you know.
Yeah.
And he'd always show up in his overalls, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, did you wear yours?
Sometimes I did. Yeah.
Were you there? Were you there in 1986 when they had that big pajama party up on the square?
Oh yes, yes.
Was you playing then?
Yes.
We played up there that night too.
Yeah.
Now
they had the world's biggest pajama party.
Marvin,
it?
now I'm going to ask you. This is going to be on TV also. Did you wear your pajamas?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I'll have to admit I didn't wear mine.
I think I wore some.
I bet you did, Max. Knowing you, they probably talked you into it.
They were kind of skimpy. They didn't look. They weren't very pretty. kind of thin.
Yeah, those were good old days. I enjoyed those days.
Well, they put us on the Guinness World Records, I think.
Yeah.
For being the biggest pajama party.
Right.
Something. And they had the bed races around the square.
Oh yeah, I remember those bed races. Yeah. They'd get somebody in the bed and have wheels on the thing, and they'd take off, and boy, they could fly around that square.
Now, how long would you play at the Old Timers Day? Would you play the whole, like an hour at a time?
No, we did like from 8 o'clock till midnight.
Ooh.
On the square dances.
Golly.
Yeah.
Well, they wear you out.
Oh yeah.
That's a whole lot of playing, Mark.
Yeah, it is.
I've played a few square dances, but not near as many as you have.
Yeah, we did a bunch of them. And Fred I think he called every one of them, the first 16. I think Fred did the calling on all of it.
Man.
And he's long gone now. Him and his wife both have passed on. A lot of the old timers have gone on.
Mm-hmm. Keith, we got about break time. We'll be right back with more Marvin Goss.
The Jiffy Burger on the Hillsborough Boulevard in Manchester has been voted as having the best hamburgers in Manchester. Hometown atmosphere, historical memorabilia, and of course those great burgers, salads, chicken, and so much more. It's the Jiffy Burger on the Hillsborough Boulevard in Manchester. Call in orders at 728-4452. You can also order at the convenient outdoor curb service. Hamburgers are made the old-fashioned way at the Jiffy Burger, Manchester's finest hamburgers. Open 7:30 until 9, Monday through Saturday.
We would like to thank Dr. David Florence for supporting Let's Talk Antiques. See Dr. Florence at 804 Kalon Street in Manchester for all of your medical needs. Call 728-5522 for your appointment today. Most insurances accepted.
Shelton Lane Antiques in Manchester has over 5,000 square feet of antiques for treasure hunters to explore. They sell vintage clocks, gas pumps, signs, furniture, and glassware. They have over 3,000 vinyl records and a fully stocked 1950s-style general store. Owners Harold and Ruby Shelton have been collecting unique items for years, and you can start or complete your own collection today at Shelton Lane Antiques. Open Wednesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 100 Shelton Lane, just off 16th Model Road in Manchester, Tennessee. Come look around and plan to stay a while at Shelton Lane Antiques, where we sell antiques, but the history is free.
are Goody Two Scoops.
I love Goody Two Scoops.
A family-friendly, yummy dessert specialty shop in Tullahoma, Tennessee. We excel in self-serve frozen treats and our own incredibly tasty chef-baked creations. For frozen treat lovers, we offer frozen yogurt, ice cream custard, as well as gelato and Italian ice. 85 flavors that rotate each day. 55 toppings including fresh sliced fruit. For our baked good lovers, Goody Two Scoops offers a variety of fresh pastries at a hometown price. Our 2 certified culinary chefs design and create incredible cakes. We showcase our cakes, froyo cakes, cupcakes, cookies, pies, and chocolate-covered strawberries, offered fresh daily.
Love playing.
Goody Two Scoops.
Say when.
Anytime.
Well, mirror, mirror on my wall, tell me who is the loneliest fool of them all. Hey, wait 1 minute, I believe that I see the answer staring right back at me. Well, I spent most mornings lying in bed, lunch, one black coffee, and 3 cigarettes. Yeah, they're gonna kill me, but I've got a hunch the day's broken heart, it's gonna beat them to the punch. Hey, mirror, mirror on my wall, tell me who is the loneliest fool of them all. Hey, wait 1 minute, I believe that I see the answer staring right back at me.
Hey, that's Marvin Goss on his 1964 J45 Gibson.
Max, once you see if you can talk
Did
to
you?
one more song.
Yeah, we'll get another one out of him here in a minute. Marvin, what were you playing in '55 in the Air Force on the show?
I had a custom-built guitar that one of the Filipino guys built me over there in the little shop. And
it probably didn't cost hardly anything.
Oh, and it didn't, I think, less than $100. But I remember when he put the trim around it, he heated the plastic with his cigar. Yeah, he did. And he made a nice guitar, and a guy stepped on it and busted it all to pieces one night when I had it up at Rock Island, and I'd played some up there, and then I'd wrapped it up in a GI blanket and laid it down, and then I heard a crunch, and this guy had stepped on it during the night. So that was the end of that guitar.
Well, this old J45 has been down the road, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, we've been to a lot of different charity events.
Raise it up and show this Willie Nelson type situation going on here, like with Trigger. You know, Trigger's got a hole in it, and Marvin's just about got a hole in this one.
Yeah, I think another 10 years it'll be all the way through there.
Well, listen, how about another one while you got it out? That was the Diamond Rio, Mirror Mirror.
Okay, let's see. I'll do a little Merle thing here. Today I started loving you again. I'm right back where I've really always been. I got over you just long enough to let my heartache mend. And then today I started loving you again. What a fool I was to think I could get by with only these few million tears to cry. Oh, I should have known the worst was yet to come, and that crying time for me had just begun. On the day I started loving you again, I'm right back where I've really always been. I got over you just long enough to let my heartache mend. And today I started loving you again. Yesterday I started loving you again.
Thank you, Marvin. That while you got it out, how much time we got, Keith?
About 7 minutes.
How about some Hank Snow or some Hank Cochran or some of the old stuff that goes back to even some Hank Senior, Hank Williams Senior.
Let's try a little bit of Hank Snow's Yellow Roses.
Yeah.
I just received, sweetheart, your yellow roses, and they tell me that we are through. They tell me that you found another, that you no longer care for me. So I'll place them near your photograph, and as the petals fall, they'll hide from you my lonely tears that shouldn't fall at all. Then they will slowly fade away and die, but I still love you, though yellow roses say goodbye. I still love you, though yellow roses say goodbye.
Hey, thank you. Hey, what about Fools Such as I? Can you remember that? That's a.
You actually had a
I
caller
like
request a song, "Bow to the Wine," one you wrote.
Oh, Bow to the Wine.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
There's a story behind that.
We got about 5 minutes, if you don't mind.
I was living in Texas when I wrote this song, and my dear good friend that was also a songwriter, he had a father-in-law that was a wino, and he would disappear, and he wouldn't show up for weeks, and his wife would call and report him missing, and the police finally got to where they knew he was going to show back up, so they just disregarded when she called. But he'd come home and he'd shave and bathe and clean up, and he'd say, "Honey, I'm through with this kind of life now. I'm going to straighten up, I'm going to get me a job, and I'm going to do right." But he never did, so we wrote a song about him. Sweetheart, you know my love for you is true. can never take the place of you. But the devil urge that grips this soul of mine, it's drawing me once more to the wine. Pardon me while I throw my life away, my weakness for the bottle's here to stay, and the heartaches that it brings are truly mine. Pardon me while I bow to the wine. I'd give this world to be your kind of man. Each time I'm on my feet, I just can't stand these empty words I say time after time. Pardon me while I bow to the wine. Pardon me while I throw my life away, my weakness for the bottle's here to stay, and the heartaches that it brings are truly mine. Pardon me while I bow to the wine. Pardon me while I bow to the wine.
All right, thanks, Marvin. It's Marvin Goss has been our guest this morning, and we've been down memory lane and talked about the good old days with the Duck River Boys, and the time that he had while he was in the Air Force. He had his own band and television and radio show. And you also mentioned earlier you played in some of those local clubs, and
yeah, the local clubs in the little town that was nearby.
And you got paid when you played those clubs, but you didn't get any extra compensation for the from the Air Force or anybody.
No, all that was free gratis.
Well,
but great. We enjoyed it. You know, we was young and had lots of energy. You know, that would be a strain for me at my age now, but back then I was.
That was exciting though, to go into that studio every.
Oh yeah. We enjoyed it.
30 seconds.
Okay, Keith says we're getting down to the wire. I just want to thank Marvin Goss for being here this morning as our special guest, and he's a hero of mine, as I said. And I want to thank Ray and Seckler and David Pennington.
I'd like to thank David for inviting me, and it's been a pleasure sitting with Max Northcutt and Ray Seckler.
Yeah, we've enjoyed it this morning, Marvin.
Hey, Max,
our pleasure, brother.
Won't you have a standing invitation where you can come back again?
Yeah, we'd like for you to come back sometime and do some more.
Okay, I think we could do that.
Thanks, Marvin.
Thank you.